What's up, guys? This is Tatsman. I'm coming to you with a quick deck profile. I know it's been a while since my last video, and just because I've been pretty busy with school, and I don't know when, I'm not going to be making any sort of commitment to the channel much anymore, just because I don't have the time for it. But when I do get to upload, I will, and I've been wanting to make this deck profile for a while, just because UAs have gotten some new life with the new set with Raging Tempest, and I know that, like, I'm going to be shaky with this camera, mainly because I don't have my camera on me, unfortunately, but, nonetheless, UAs are actually pretty decent in this right now. I've been testing this deck a lot against Zoodiac, and, honestly, there's a lot of things, unless, of course, they're playing the Kaiju build. This deck hates the Kaiju build, but if they're playing pure Zoodiac, it actually punishes pure Zoodiac. It's good against quite a few things, and it has some cards that are very difficult to deal with in this meta. Plus, it's gaining new life when we get Link monsters, which are making me very excited because I feel like it's something that really balances the game. But that's for another time. But anyway, moving on, here is the deck profile. We're playing 3 midfielder. That's pretty standard. I don't really need to go, like, explain this, but, like, midfielder is even more important now because it's very easy for this deck to make my opponent, force the opponent to use their resources up pretty quickly, and midfielder helps you kill people faster, so midfielder, a little bit better in combination with that. 2 slugger, I honestly want to bump this up to 3. I never feel like I have enough sluggers, but 2 slugger is all I have room for, so 2 it is. Playing 2 ace, you don't need more than 2 ace, especially in this build. The defensive cards are much better in this deck, in this particular format, because you can really stall out your opponent, force them to go through all their resources. So ace is really good at just stopping your opponent. They're essentially just extra strikes. So I love it. It's like, well, they're not strikes, they're more like divine wraths, but yeah. 1 goalkeeper, probably my favorite card this format. Goalkeeper is so difficult to deal with unless you have a Kaiju, and I love using him against Zoodiacs because they can't pop him during my opponent's turn, so they have to use resources in order to get rid of him. They can, like, it's just once per turn. He can't be destroyed by battle or card effects, so they can use the card effect on him and then attack into him and try to get over him. But he's got 2800 defense, which is still pretty difficult to get over, and then they have to use a resource to get rid of him the next turn. So goalkeeper is really, really great right now. You only need 1, though, so yeah. 1 rebounder. I actually was not going to play this card. I'm thinking about bumping up what's his face? Slugger to 3, obviously, as I said before, but you do need rebounder in this particular build because of a card that I'm playing that's more of a tech than anything. So rebounder can get you some advantage, and that's why he's here, unless you reuse the resources that you've already used up. 1 blockbacker, he's another defensive guy. He's just really good. He's a lose 1 turn for 1 monster, and blockbacker is amazing. I would argue he's not as good as either ace or goalkeeper in this particular format, because your opponent can, if they're playing Zoodiac, it is possible to get around his effect rather easily, just because they're 1 card Xyz. But nonetheless, he's pretty good. 1 Dunker. Dunker is another card that I was kind of iffy about playing. I'm not playing the level 8 just because Playmaker, just because he doesn't really gain you a lot of advantage. Yes, he can help you kill your opponent faster, but I often brick with him. But Dunker is, he pops back row or anything in general, so that's really great. And he does piercing, which is also really useful. So Dunker, I felt 1 was good enough to play. Hand traps are playing 2 Ghost Ogre, really good in this format. I would probably side the 3rd if I couldn't find room for it in the future, but 2 at the moment. 2 Gameciel because it's Gameciel, and then 2 Maxi, just because Maxi is the best card in the format, in my opinion. 3 Stadium. Stadium is your search card for UAs just in general, your UA monsters. Gains you attack, which is really useful, so that's cool. And then along with it, 1 terraforming, because it's easier to get Stadium now in this build. So 1 terraforming is necessary. If terraforming were to go to 1, the deck really wouldn't be affected at all. We're playing 3 Signing Deal, probably the second best, or like either best or second best spell in the deck. It is a Hero Lives, but better. and it's just helps you gain advantage easily. 2 power jersey because it's basically your win condition. It's just, again, really great to combo with Slugger. And then a card that people don't usually play in UAs, but I'm playing 2 of it because it's amazing in this format. 2 Turnover Tactics. Now, because of the fact this deck actually got faster with Raging Tempest, Turnover Tactics is even more viable, and it's a better board clear than Raigeki or what's it called? Darkhold, my bad. And just because you can actually gain more advantage with this over your opponent if you activate it correctly, which you should. It's not hard to. You just wait till your opponent gets pretty much all Xyz monsters on the field, then they lose everything. And it's a really, really great card to play. If you don't know how Turnover Tactics works, if you control 2 or more UA monsters, which is not difficult whatsoever in this deck, at all, anymore, at least, you shuffle all monsters you and your opponent controls into the deck, and then for however many UA monsters were shuffled, or however many monsters were shuffled back into your main deck, you special summon that many UA monsters from your deck. So if you control like a Slugger and an Ace, for example, you shuffle them back in the deck and you get 2 other monsters out that are different from those names. So technically you actually could, to replace the Slugger, you could replace it back with the Ace, and then replace the Ace back with the Slugger, because that still fulfills the requirements. So you don't actually lose anything, which is great, and the fact this is a quick play makes it even better. And then on top of that, we have your opponent loses all of their Xyz monsters, and then they don't get anything to replace it with, because if they have any monsters that are shoveled back into the main deck, those they get to replace, not the Xyz monsters. So it works great against Zoodiac. And also, if you give your opponent a Gamma Seal by tributing over something, that Gamma Seal gets shoveled back into your deck, and you get to replace it with one of your UA monsters. So this is even better. We're playing 1 Rhoda because it's good. And then from Raging Tempest, which is why this deck is getting new life, is 3 Foolish Burial Goods. Foolish Burial Goods is just... it's essentially giving this deck a 37 card advantage. Like it's a 37 deck. And I love this card to pieces. I was so happy when this got revealed, just purely because it helps the deck out so much. And it just gets you to your pieces even faster. 1 Twin Twister, because I only have room for 1, and honestly, it's not as, you can do without it in some situations. 3 UA Penalty Box, you play 3 now because of the, of Foolish Burial Goods. You don't want to open up with both, because that does happen. With 2, if you're only playing 2, because then you can't use them as easily. And honestly, because it's also a battle trap, which is great. People forget that it is a battle trap, and when you set it face down, if they Twin Twister it, you still get advantage. If they don't Twin Twister it, and they stupidly attack into one of your UA monsters without reading this card, they lose everything under the material. And if they choose to pop it with a Dryden so they can still get the attack through, then you're going to get a search, and if they can't OTK you, you can come back next turn. Playing 2 Strike, yep. 1 Vanities. I love and hate this card. When I use it, I love it. When I'm against it, I hate it. But it's really easy to turn off on your turn because of Foolish Burial Goods and the fact that you can easily tribute summon monsters in this deck. So Vanity's Emptiness, really great. And then we're rounding things out with Torrential Tribute because it's a board clear and it's better than Mirror Force. So Torrential Tribute, really great for that. So with that, guys, there's no extra deck for this because you don't need one in this version. This deck, like, D-Berry is completely useless against this deck, but if you wanted to, I mean, like, for example, I'd probably play, like, Emerald, Castell, Cowboy, Samurai, just because, like, basic rank 4s, I mean, your Utopias, and then, like, for rank 5, I play Vulcan, the Gaia Charger, and shit like that, so, and, like, it's just up to what you want to do with that. Like, you really don't need it. I don't go into my extra deck very often at all. In fact, I first started testing this deck without an extra deck to see how powerful it could be, and it was amazing. Another card I wanted to talk about really quick was Lithogasm, or Lithosagem, jeez. Like, this guy, he's not good in this deck right now. When we're in link format, this is probably going to be much better because his Mess is Radiant. If you don't know what that is, look it up. It is a new link monster that adds earth monsters back to your hand when it's destroyed. So Lithosagem is just really good in combination with that. Plus, it gets rid of monsters in the extra deck, so it can give you some really good advantage. But other than that, this deck profile is pretty much complete. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, guys, have a great day.